For as long as I can remember, the Salesforce job market has been seriously blowing up. There is a constant stream of demand for Salesforce professionals, which has been further accelerated by the pandemic. With this in mind, there is no better time to ensure you're getting paid fairly for the value you are delivering to your company. In this video, we're going to go through 6 important steps to ensure you understand your market rate, your own strengths and weaknesses, and some negotiating tips. I'm really excited to start doing more video content for Salesforce Ben, so please like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with all our latest content, and we would love to hear your feedback. First up, let's understand your market rate. Each Salesforce role can differ massively in its salary, and this doesn't just depend on your actual role, for example, admin versus architect, but also the type of company, location, as well as the seniority can play a huge part. Luckily, Salesforce Ben partners yearly with Mason Frank, who provide the largest career and hiring guide in the Salesforce ecosystem. Alongside Mason Frank's survey, we publish salary guides. These don't just give you the raw average salary numbers, but also the factors that go into them. You might find an admin's average salary in Chicago is 100K, but actually in your city and with your experience, numbers could be lower or higher. So it's good to fully understand the variables in play. Check out our salary guides for more information. Next, I'm afraid you're going to have to take a deep, hard look at yourself, because before you can ask for a raise, you really need to understand your strengths and weaknesses. If you go into the negotiator meeting asking for $5,000 more, but you have recently been underperforming, this is the first thing your manager will bring up. And unless you have a good rebuttal, the negotiation could fail. By evaluating your strengths and weaknesses, it's going to benefit you in 3 main ways. Firstly, it will give you the confidence to walk into a meeting and ask for the salary you deserve. If you can think of multiple ways you've improved the company, delivered successful projects, or recently taken on more responsibilities, you'll be in a very strong position to ask for more money. But at the same time, it will help you be more realistic. If you feel like you have some weaknesses, factor this into the money that you ask for, and also ensure you work on these in the future. You could even suggest a raise when you hit a certain milestone. Lastly, this exercise gives you the ammo you need to ask your manager for a raise. They'll be expecting concrete examples of the value you've brought to the business. Next up, it's a very good idea to evaluate the company you currently work for. There are 4 main types of companies in the Salesforce ecosystem. The first one is Salesforce end users, the people that buy and use Salesforce products. Secondly, you've got Salesforce consultancies, the people that implement it for end users. Next, you've got ISVs, or app exchange companies. These guys develop apps that sit on top of Salesforce. And of course, Salesforce themselves, the mothership. These different types of companies will vastly differ in size, profitability, and their reliance on a certain type of Salesforce professional. As a rule of thumb, salaries will typically be at the lower end of the scale for an end user than, say, a consultancy. This will also vary based on the size of the end user you're working for and the industry they're in. For example, if you work in financial services, this tends to pay a bit higher and a decent bonus. You may be a mid-level solo admin working for an SMB organization and feel like you deserve a raise. However, if the company believes that your role can be done with someone on a mid-level salary, it might not be feasible to get a raise. This kind of scenario will play out a lot for Salesforce professionals. And if you want a bigger salary with more responsibility, it could be time to look for a new job. So far, we've identified our market rate, the value we bring to the company, and decided if the company can afford us. Next up, you need to work out what you actually want. How bad do you want this raise? Is it a deal breaker, or are you just interested to see if you can get a bit more added to your paycheck? Negotiating is all about ensuring both parties walk away happy, so you need to understand the minimum you need to walk away to be satisfied. If this figure or job package isn't met, then you need to be prepared to walk away, otherwise you have no leverage, and the negotiation could be pointless. You might have actually realized by this point that money isn't the issue. Maybe it's the fact you're not entitled to flexible working or to work remotely. This can all come into play in a negotiation. Just as you would practice a presentation or public speaking, it's a good idea to rehearse your negotiation with a friend or a family member. Negotiations can be really stressful. For some people, asking for more money can feel like a huge faux pas, and you may have a tendency to clam up and not come across as you would in a normal conversation. Practicing your delivery with a friend or a family member is a great way to remember your key points as well as your response to objections. Negotiating can be really fun and rewarding if you get what you want. But there are a few basic rules to follow. To ensure you get the most out of it, here are 6 quick tips to help you on your way. Firstly, start out with some small talk. Hopefully you and your manager have a mutual respect, and it's always best to settle into the meeting before showing your hand. Secondly, in a negotiation, less is more. Don't ramble on, just clearly state your main bullet points why you're asking for a raise. Thirdly, don't give your manager a range, otherwise they are likely to choose something at the bottom end of it. Pick a figure slightly higher than the one you're willing to accept, so you have some wiggle room to move down in a negotiation. And never compare yourself to other people or colleagues. Raises should be based on your own merit. Finally, a successful negotiation is where both people walk away happy. Your manager will understand this, but it's important to actively listen to objections. You may have a blind spot in your skill set that you aren't aware of, and the feedback can help you become a more rounded professional and play into the negotiation. As the Salesforce job market is red hot, going through these steps in this post to evaluate your market value is a good exercise, whether you end up asking for a raise or not. However, it's also important to be fair. As the Salesforce job market is very active, this can mean companies are often struggling to find talent. Whilst it's important that professionals are being paid fairly, it's also important to ensure you are not taking advantage of a company just because you can. Asking for ludicrous salaries when you're not qualified can often come back to bite you in the future. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and make sure you subscribe to our channel to hear more great content in the future.